All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. Of course, this is DFS Army's tournament strategy show where we look at last night's slate and we look at today's slate and we just game plan on what we're going to do and guys we like when it comes to DFS today. And then, of course, later today on the pre-lock show, 5:30 p.m. for VIP members only, we have the pre-lock show with me and Brandon where we will show what we're doing on the domination station, how we're using it for 20 max contests here today. Y'all, I have the vid, so I am a little sick. Sorry about that, but we're powering through anyway. It's going to be okay. Um, y'all, last night, basketball itself was awesome. DFS wise, a little bit less great. Let's look at the 100K winning lineup. It did have like a 5-way split, I think. Let's see here. So this was the 100K winning lineup. I think it ended up being like a 28K win for these guys. Bruce Brown was a core play. He made sense. Glad he was a little bit more aggressive. He was shooting. So that went well. Buddy Hield was not on him. He was priced well. One thing that you'll see here, and I mentioned on this show, I think, was that I had a feeling it was going to be a mid-range slate. And so I ended up forcing exposure to guys like Tatum. I forced a little bit of exposure to Halliburton. Halliburton had a game yesterday, but you didn't need him. You didn't need Tatum. You didn't need Halliburton, but you did need Sabonis. Sabonis at only 9,900 and low ownership at 13.6%. I wasn't on Sabonis. I already talked about that, but he really helped set your lines apart. And so you needed him to take down the 100K. Sam Hauser, again, another guy who just saw a decent amount of run and was efficient with his minutes. Aaron Nesmith, we were over the field on him, but we also had a ton of Nimbard as well, so that kind of made that a little bit less great. Malik Monk, we were over the field on. Herbert Jones, we were over the field on, so that went well. And then Brandon Ingram, we were also over the field on. So it's a 2-game slate. Almost everyone was probably 1 or 2 guys away from taking down a contest. That's just kind of the way 2-game slates go. There weren't really too many takeaways. I think the biggest takeaway for me was just how much more run these teams gave their starters last night. They saw a lot of minutes, and the bench players had to be extremely efficient with their minutes to kind of break into the nuts. And you see that with really only Sam and like you see that just kind of across the board, and Monk coming off the bench. So starters definitely saw a decent amount of run, especially like that's why you see some of the guys who made that 100K lineup. So that's something that I'm going to keep into consideration for this 2-game slate with this end season tournament. And so hopefully that will help us even more today. So let's jump into it. JJ, good to see you, man. No real crew. It's just me, but I'm glad you guys are here and you helping keep me company a little bit. Buccaneer, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Thomas Dye agreed. Let's get it. Yesterday was a losing day for me, so not great, but ready to turn things around today. So starting off, I like this slate. I'm not going to lie. I think there's some pretty solid spots here. First things first, we have the Knicks against the Bucks. The Knicks are pretty healthy. Kind of boring here. When it comes to injury news on this slate, there's not really much, which does mean we're going to be desperate for value. And that does mean we're going to have to play guys who suck. And when I say that, I mean, again, we look at these names from yesterday. These are guys you typically don't want to play on a slate. Bruce Brown was chalk. And again, we ate that chalk because of how much minutes he plays. But he's not usually someone you get overly excited about. Hield, Hauser, Nesmith. All of these are guys you just usually don't get excited about. We're going to have to do that same thing again today. But, guys, we are excited to play. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are both strong plays on this slate. Typically, we don't like to pick on the Bucks, but this season they have not been a great defense. One thing that we saw yesterday is that teams were playing a bit more, but just better defense across the board. We still saw guys like Tatum and Brown have strong performances yesterday against the Pacers, a team we like to pick on a good bit, but the Pacers played better defense yesterday. And so it wouldn't shock me if we see better defense from the Bucks tonight. And so that's the main reason I'm not going too crazy with Julius Randle. When it comes to, Yeah, when it comes to Julius Randle, I don't want to go too crazy with him. Um, so I do like him, but I do expect the Bucks to play better defense tonight. I would rather pick on Damian Lillard here with Jalen Brunson. Brunson is the guy I want to focus on tonight with the Knicks. I love this spot for him. I don't know if I can make him a leverage play, but I can guarantee I'll be over the field on Brunson tonight. RJ Barrett, man, he has not been good. So it was really hard for me to get to Barrett. He just, ever since returning from his injury, he just hasn't been hot. Again, I'm not going to go out of my way to X any of these guys out. I'm really just going to trust the domination station to get us there. Samuel Johnson, good to see you, man. Who's in charge of projections? Is it JBC? We have a team. We have a team of people. Kaboom said Hammer Game was the winning pieces we needed. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wagwan. Good to see you, Kaboom. And so basically, I'm trusting the domination station here with a lot of these plays. I don't want to over tinker it because I do like the Knicks a good bit here. You're really just trying to hope you hit the right guy. None of these guys really stand out for me more than the others. RJ Barrett, Josh Hart, quickly, Dante DiVincenzo, even Quentin Grimes. They're all just very streaky. And so I'm just going to trust the DS here and not try to overthink it. I just know I want to be over on Brunson and let the DS do the rest of the work here. Mitchell Robinson is fine. He's not standing like as of right now, it would be a core play. Mitchell Robinson would be a core play for me, but again, the slate can adjust and change. So I'm not saying like that's going to stay the case, but like I said, Brunson's the priority for me for the Knicks tonight, but a lot of decent plays for the Knicks. I know the Bucks are the thumbnail for the show today, but I don't like them too much, to be honest. I mean, I think we all know this. Giannis has upside for days. Giannis is always a viable play, especially when he's super low owned. I view Giannis kind of like Halliburton yesterday, a stud who's in a game that should be pretty competitive, in a game that I expect to be pretty high scoring. And I expect Giannis to do decent in this spot. But because he's so expensive and because of the lack of value we have, I just don't expect him to really hit the nuts. If you're 150 maxing, you should have Giannis exposure. If you're 20 maxing, it's okay if you take a couple of shots on Giannis, but I just like other guys more. Lillard is a little bit more stomachable, or just a little bit more of a realistic option. I do think they're starting to finally figure things out, and they're realizing they really just need to let Lillard do his thing. And so the scoring definitely is fine. I don't love picking on the Knicks here, though. So I'm just really not super excited about any of the Bucks outside of Chris Middleton. We talked about this yesterday. We saw guys playing more minutes. Chris Middleton, his minutes have been all over the place this season, but he's finally started to see a slight increase, or at least a bit more consistency in his minutes. We saw him play 23 minutes against Miami on the 28th of November, 26 minutes against Chicago on the 30th, and then 24 minutes against the Hawks. And so he's at least seeing 20s, whereas before he was seeing like 12 minutes randomly, 19 minutes randomly. At least he's now seeing minutes in the 20s. And so assuming he's actually healthy at this point, I'm willing to take a bet that Chris Middleton sees potentially 30 plus minutes today, especially if this game stays close. And so Chris Middleton, I can almost guarantee will be a core play because he's one of those mid-range guys I'm willing to take a shot on. You have to realize this is a risk. It's possible Chris Middleton only plays 12 minutes tonight, but hopefully that's not the case. So that's one of those stands I'm going to have on this slate. He is pretty chalky at 41.64%, but I'll be at least double that. So I like Chris Middleton here. Next up, you see Marjon Beauchamp, and a lot of these guys are just going to kind of slide into your lineups. Beauchamp was showing up as a core play for me originally, and I had to lower that. I think guys like Campaign, Beauchamp, I'll even put Bobby Portis in the same category. Not quite Malik Beasley because his minutes are slightly more secure than Portis's these days. But for me, those are all just like GPP guys that I'm fine having a mix of, but I don't want them to be anywhere close to a core play. So right now I have a 50% exposure maximum on Beauchamp because I really just want to be at least around field weight. I'm willing to go 45 or wherever ownership is around the pre-lock show. I want to be right at that. I don't think I need to completely fade him because of his price tag, but I do not want to be over the field on a guy like Beauchamp who can absolutely go out there and do jack shit tonight. Uh, Brook Lopez, he's been in decent form here lately, but his price tag feels appropriate, and I don't love his upside. I'll have to dig a little bit deeper into it, and I'll have to look at the sim model. I can look at the sim now. Let's see, 6,400, Brook Lopez. I had a feeling the sim has a little bit of a crush on Brook Lopez today. Uh, at low ownership, if I can find a way to make Brook Lopez a leverage play and still have as much Anthony Davis as I want on this slate, I'm willing to consider it, but I'll have to play around with lineups to actually confirm that. But he's on my radar. So really the only bucks that I'm looking at as of right now, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton. If I get any Damian Lillard exposure naturally, it's fine. Let's see. Hope you're doing good, Josiah. Yeah, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well too. Zolo, what's up, Zolo? Good to see you too. I feel like it's always weird doing this show about Brandon, just because I get so used to having him, and then when he's not here, it's like, what is life? Anyway, that's probably just the COVID talking. All right, moving on. I like Middleton and Lopez is interesting. For the Suns, I like the Suns tonight, but they're expensive. We know the Lakers have struggled against point guards this season. Devin Booker's been very good this season when it comes to scoring and being aggressive when it comes to daily fantasy. Devin Booker's someone I am definitely looking at as a potential leverage play. Again, I'm only running 20 lines though, so I have to make sure I can still be over the field to Brunson and have Devin Booker as a leverage play and making sure I don't have a ton of crappy guys because of that. So it's something I'm gonna have to play around with before the pre-lock show, but I'll make sure that we're good to go there beforehand. Outside of that, you all know I like playing bigs against the Lakers. Nurkic is looking pretty chalky at 37%. The most popular Suns player. I'm fine with that on a 2-gamer. I'm not going to try to avoid it. I'm going to keep the like on Nurkic and just be comfortable having him in my mix. Outside of that, we do have Eric Gordon listed as questionable. I know some people got excited about Josh Okogie last time Gordon was out, and Okogie played a decent amount of minutes. How many was it? Let's see. Yeah, he played for 26 minutes, and he scored 3 actual real life points. So not Okogie's best performance. But honestly, if Gordon's out, I'll be willing to take a shot on Okogie once again here. It's risky, but ideally, Gordon plays, and we don't have to worry about this situation very much. But he's viable. Grayson Allen also is worth having in your mix. He's a relatively low usage guy, but we saw this yesterday with guys like Heald and the other guys who made the Nuts lineup. They see decent minutes on a 2-game slate. They don't have to crush, they just have to hit value, and it's okay to have guys like that in your mix. So totally fine having some exposure to guys like Allen, even Gordon if he ends up playing, but not guys I'm trying to make priorities on this slate at all. You all know me. I like to trust the domination station a good bit, so I'm really just trying to prioritize Booker and Nurkic if I can, and then letting the DS do its thing here. KD is an interesting play. I do think he's probably one of the stronger plays, but since I'm prioritizing Devin Booker, it's going to be hard for me to get too much KD here. But I wouldn't have any issue of anyone being like, I like KD here way more. And then last but not least, guys, we have the Lakers. Of course, LeBron James is questionable like he always is. AD is probable. Rui Hachimura is probable. Jarrett Vanderbilt is probable. These things do matter. Hachimura was active in the last game that they played, but he didn't play any minutes. And Jarrett Vanderbilt played last game, and he only played 13.7 minutes. And so that really messes up this forward position for the Lakers, making me a lot less interested in guys that we probably would have had some exposure to, like Cam Reddish, for instance, or maybe even like a Torrin Prince on a 2-game slate. Now it's really more of a just trying to get lucky here, trusting the domination station, and hopefully just getting some exposure to these guys. I think last run I did, Max Christie was standing out a good bit. I'm okay with that. I do like Austin Reeves a good bit here. We know he has upside, even coming off the bench. I do like him. But again, he's not someone I'm going to try to force exposure to. Hopefully that just happens naturally. D'Angelo Russell, not someone I'm overly excited about, but he's seeing decent ownership. I expect to get some ownership to him there. So basically, the way that I use the domination station, I'm not trying to get overly creative here. I'm not trying to X guys out or force full fades here on this slate. But I do like the thought process of prioritizing the guys that I want to see show up, and that includes AD and Zolo. You're already on it, man. A nationally televised game that matters. That's usually when we see LeBron James show up, and he's 9,600. Not an extreme discount by any means, but not a bad price. Not a bad price. I wish the questionable tag would have scared people away, but I think everyone knows at this point that it doesn't really matter. We can play him. So I I like AD LeBron. I'll be at least around field weight is my plan for now. Austin Reeves, ideally, I am considering him as a potential leverage play. And let's see. Assuming Cam Reddish and Prince start, I'm not as excited about them, but just because their minutes, they don't see the same amount of minutes as the Pacer guys did yesterday. They're not seeing minutes into the 30s, and they're low usage guys. I would rather have like some exposure to them, but still primarily have focus on guys like Reeves and even a little bit of Max Christie, like I said earlier. And I wouldn't hate even having a little bit of Rui and Jared Vanderbilt as well, since I expect them to be extremely low owned because they haven't really played too many minutes here recently. So, like I said, just like yesterday, we're going to have some guys that you don't like seeing in your lineups, but I do like having a good mix here. And I'll go ahead and just show kind of like the player pool that I have right now. This will change dramatically by the time we get to the pre-lock show, but I'm comfortable with a good mix of these crappy names. I'm going to have to, like I said, force more LeBron James in, force more Jalen Brunson in. We're going to have to force Devin Booker in and some of the other guys we talked about. But I do like how much Anthony Davis I'm getting. I'm probably going to have less D'Angelo Russell once I force in Austin Reeves a little bit as well. So, interesting slate, good 2-gamer. Loving the in-season tournament so far. Hoping these games can be just as enticing as those were yesterday. And ideally, today we crush and have some nice takedowns to celebrate tomorrow. I am a little under the weather, so I might not be able to do this show tomorrow, but my voice is still decent, so if I can keep it going, I will. But chance there might not be any show tomorrow. Anyway, appreciate you all for sticking it out with me. Look forward to hopefully celebrating later tonight with you guys. And if you're able to make the pre-lock show, look forward to seeing you all then with Brandon. Peace out, guys. Bye.